Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to a Division 2 video, and we got another banger of a build video for you utilizing the Chameleon. With some gear of this season and a special addition to this build, this makes the Chameleon feel great again, and it is a lot of fun to play with. Is this a straight up meta build? No. Can we hit up to 1.3 million a headshot while full stacked and have tons of survivability? Yes. It gives you tons of survivability while still doing millions of the crit shots. And because of the additions of this season, we can get 76 bullets in the mag of the Chameleon. We know that we only need 65 hits on the body to get that extra 90% weapon damage kicking in. So in theory, we can just do this with one clip. The second clip, we can stack our 150% reload speed, and with the bullets left, we can shoot those headshots to get that extra 20% crit chance and 50% critical hit damage, boosting out tons of damage with an insane amount of survivability. I will show you a little extra gameplay throughout the build breakdown, but let's dive right in. Enough intro, enough gameplay. Let's see what we've been cooking up. First thing, of course, we have our minigun for our specialization. We're utilizing the minigun for that 10% armor on kill. You can also get the Banshee pulse activated for your skill, and our third reload is 50% faster. Then for the gun itself, you already know about it. We already talked about it in the intro. It is the Chameleon. This Chameleon has 125k total damage, close to 1,000 RPMs. As you can see, a mag of 75. When we reload an extra time, we will get that bullet in a mag of 76. We have a 70% headshot damage and an optimal range of 30. And that is also something that we adjusted. I have maxed out the expertise to level 30, an extra 30% weapon damage, and then of course we went to damage your target out of cover as the attribute. That is the attribute to go for, except for LMGs, you wanna choose critical hit chance. Why is the Chameleon so good? The Chameleon is so good because it comes with the talent Adaptive Instincts. Hitting 30 headshots grants you 20% critical hit chance and 50% critical hit damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 65% body shots grants you 90% damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 20 leg shots grants you 150% reload speed for 45 seconds. And the buffs will refresh when you're out of combat. So the moment that you clear a whole area within a mission, for example, if you do that within that 45 seconds, all of the buffs will refresh, so the next area that you run into, you will have the full power of the Chameleon. In the open world, it is a little bit tougher to keep this together. Yes, we can also use this build within Retaliation. It helps out a ton to have that survivability, but you want to be a little closer, and it's a bit different of gameplay. This build will shine mostly within missions. If you go from area to area, you can clear that area in 45 seconds. You can keep the talent alive. And that is a little bit of the downfall of the Chameleon, as when you hit that talent, you have 45 seconds to take out the entire area. Within the open world, like I mentioned before, it is a little bit tougher as you're almost constantly in combat. Within a mission, you walk in, you take everyone out, and then the combat stops. In the open world, you might be fighting a control point, and then from your back, you're getting hit from a completely different activity, and then you will always be in combat. And then, of course, there's a chance you're gonna lose the talent's buffs. But because we have that 76 bullets in the mag, it's almost one or maybe two clips. You have that 90% weapon damage back, that 150% reload speed back, and you can start hitting the headshots for that extra critical hit chance and, of course, that extra critical hit damage. That is something that I would recommend you to do as well. Shoot the body first, then go for the leg shot so you have that 150% reload speed, and then aim towards the head to get the extra crit chances and crit damages. We also built the build to have a good crit chance already, so you don't really need to hunt down the 20% crit chance for the build to work. But enough talk about this, let's jump over to, of course, the rest or the overview of the build, because your secondary and your pistol don't matter. You do not, I repeat, you do not want to switch away from your Chameleon. So a lot of people will have some problem with it at the start because the quick step is in the game, making us 20% faster, but you want to stay away from that. The moment you switch away from your Chameleon, you will lose the complete buff. So when you switch back to your weapon, you need to start this whole buff again, needing to hit that 65 body shots, needing to hit that 20 leg shots, needing to hit that 30 headshots to get the buff fully procced again. This is the overview of the build. Like we mentioned, we went into a few things for this season. So especially the two named items for this season, we have UA, Unit Alloy, of course. We have stacked it all the way up to 3, so we're getting an extra rate of fire, we're getting an extra 20% assault rifle damage, and we're getting that extra 50% magazine size that gives us the opportunity to have that 76 bullets within the Chameleon. Everything will be rolled to crit chance, crit damages, and then the crit damage mods on there, and of course, because it's the Eagleizer, this comes with Perfect Obliterate. Critical hits increase the total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacks up 24 times. Then for the second named, that will be our Salvo. This will give us an extra 5% rate of fire already on top of the brand set bonus of 5% rate of fire. So this gives us a total of 10% rate of fire, activates that second piece of Unit Alloy, and that's why we chose to go for it. A little extra rate of fire, and for the crit chances we don't really have to do for it, and we wanted to keep that third piece of Unit Alloy in there, and to then go for that third piece, that is going to be our backpack. Again, everything towards crit chance, crit damages, crit damage mod on there. This is our third piece for the magazine size, and we chose to go for Bloodsucker. So yes, complete survivability backpack talent, no damage talent, so you can even hit harder. You're gonna trade in for some survivability, of course. Killing an enemy adds a stack of 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and the max stack is 10. So you can get up to 100% extra bonus armor, kicking you close to that 1.5 million armor at max stacks, while we can still do that 1.3 to 1.4 million on the health headshots. So next to the damage output, we have an insane amount of survivability as well. Then jumping over to the rest of the pieces, we are utilizing one of the new exotics, Overdogs. Again, everything towards crit chance, crit damage. This is what it rolls with, and it comes with the talent Weakest Link. Amplifies weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemies currently in combat as per tier hierarchy. You have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. This is not always active, but the moment that it activates, it is just unbeatable, and it will activate a lot. Because we went for the backpack with Bloodsucker, we chose to go for some extra damage output. That 30% amplification damage comes in clutch and gives you tons of extra damage. We can also go for the Exodus gloves. This will drop a smoke bomb whenever you break your armor, and it will conceal you from the enemies. Because our weapon, the Chameleon, of course, will refresh when you're out of combat. The moment that you drop a smoke bomb, the moment that your armor breaks, you will get out of combat, and this whole talent of the Chameleon will activate again for 45 seconds. It is a very, very good combination, and almost made for each other, the Chameleon plus the Exodus. But again, like I mentioned before, we went for survivability on the backpack. That's why we chose to go for damage on our gloves. You can also change it around. Then we're going to the knee pads. It's Fox's Prayers. 8% damage to target out of cover on there, and then that critical hit damage. Rifle damage won't do anything for us, but at 8% damage to target out of cover, will beat Fenris, will beat Gruppo. That's why we chose to go for it, for that little extra damage. And then for the special piece on this build, this kinda gets it very off meta, but it helps out a ton, and this is the Visionario. This is a Legatus piece, so this will give us 30% swap speed that we don't utilize because we do not want to swap away from our weapon. But because this is a named piece of the Legatus, it will give us 50% optimal range. And this is something that makes the Chameleon very, very interesting again, because we all know that it only has a range of 20 meters. While we add this mask, yes, it doesn't really give us some extra damage. It boosted up the Chameleon to an optimal range of 30. And this gives you a lot more of an AR vibe than just an SMG vibe. And this makes the build so interesting. Getting only this mask on there with that extra 50% optimal range. We of course rolled critical hit damage on there, and we have a critical hit damage mod on there. It is a very strange but very welcomed piece. Test it out. Huge shout out to Creve. He told me about this. What about the Visionario? And I never thought about it. And that optimal range comes in clutch. Because yes, we could go for a Gruppo, or we could go for something else that gives us damage. But that extra optimal range, that extra 10 meters for you to hit people, it will save you so much damage as well. You can still hit that 1 million crit shots even on the body from a distance. And that is what makes this mask so welcomed on this build. So this is the full overview again. We're going for, of course, the named Legatus Visionario mask, the 3 pieces of UA, 2 pieces named with the Eagleizer and the Salvo. Then we go for the Fox's Prayers knee pads for the extra damage to target out of cover. And then, of course, we're going for the exotic gloves to give us those extra 30% amplification damage. For our skills, I love to utilize the foam launcher. Like I mentioned when we were talking about the specialization, you can also run the Banshee pulse. I just love my foam launcher. And next to that, of course, I am always going for a Revive Hive to give us that extra life, give us that extra survivability. And let's jump over to the stats real quick. Like I mentioned, we are close to the crit chance. So we are at 49%. The cap is, of course, 60. You usually want to be a little higher around that 55%, but because of our gun will give us 20% crit chance if we hit those headshots. The 49% crit chance is a very nice spot to be at. Then we have a 141% critical hit damage, and that of course gets upped as well with an extra 50 to 191% critical hit damage. We, of course, with the extra 20% crit chance, we're overcapping, but I feel like you don't really want to get lower than 49%. So you can focus on the weapon damage first, then go for the reload speed, and then for that extra damage, you can go for the headshots afterwards. So you're not trying to put your first 2 mags in the head to get that crit chance, to get it up to par. 49 is a great spot to be at. And that's pretty much it. A little longer video. I was yapping a little bit too much again, but you know me. I love to share the information and try this build out. Again, this is not in the meta whatsoever, but it is a lot of fun to play with. And that's why we're here. We just enjoy our time in gaming. We try to get some builds together that can get you through the game and still have that smile on your face instead of those sweat drops on your forehead. Thank you very much for sticking until the end. Like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And of course, if you're new here and or you want to be updated by the Division 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. Pure Prime out.